I'm Caroline. Thank you for joining me for this session on the hands and the wrists. Our hands do so much for us every day, whether we're working on laptops and computers and tablets and phones, and we often don't take good care of them or give them a little bit of tender loving care that they deserve. So it's going to be a short session working through stretching the fingers, bringing some space to the wrists as well, and just generally looking after our hands. So to begin with, we're going to start in a seated position. I'm obviously sitting here on my mat on a block. You may prefer to sit in a chair. And if you are sitting in a chair, making sure your feet are grounded, feet are parallel. You find that stability through the feet and through the sitting bones. Maybe finding a little bit of length through the spine, maybe a bit more space around the chest and the sternum, and softening the shoulders. And we'll begin by taking 3 ocean breaths. So you may want to soften your gaze or close the eyes. Breathing in through the nose and gently through the mouth to make the sound of the sea. If the eyes are closed, gently tucking the chin, opening the eyes and bringing the head back up to center. We're going to give ourselves some hugs this morning or today, and we're reaching through the fingertips. We're breathing in as we reach out and breathing out as we give ourselves a hug. So finding that length again, once again in the spine, if you're sitting on a chair or sitting on the floor, softening the shoulders and breathing in to reach through. And breathing out to give yourself a hug. Working with your own breathing rate. So as you breathe in, maybe you're able to reach with the fingertips a little further. And each time, as you bring the arms in, trying to ensure a different arm comes on top. Maybe the hands come back a little behind you. And finding space through the fingers and beside the fingers, really spreading the hand. And then gently releasing the arms, giving them a little rest for a moment. We'll be extending the hands out again, so reaching out through the hands. And this time the thumbs are pointing down. So I'm turning my palms away from me. And then the palms come up, so thumbs up. And then gently thumbs down. Thumbs up. And thumbs down. And one last time. And gently releasing the hands once again. We're going to come to something I call motorbike pose. So I'm just going to remove my block. You can stay seated on a chair if that's where you are. I've come to kneeling, just making sure you're comfortable. If you're staying cross-legged, just ensure you've changed the cross over the leg to bring a little bit of balance and symmetry to your practice. We're going to reach out with fists here. So very much like you're holding a bike or a motorbike, softening the shoulders. And then you're going to imagine you're revving the engine, so taking the knuckles forwards. Remembering to breathe. Then maybe bring the wrists up a little further and down a little further, just working with your range of movement. And coming back to center, and then we're taking the wrists or the fists left and right. Different ranges of movement we don't often come into consciously. If the arms are getting tired, know that you can just gently bring them down towards your lap, allow them to have a rest. And releasing the hands back down towards the thighs or the lap. We're going to come into what I call lion's pose. We're going to change the positioning of our hands so we can get a little bit of stretch in the wrists as well. Now, if you're comfortable kneeling, and we'll have the big toes together and the knees wide apart, that's great. If it's not so great for you, find a little bit of padding. So this can really help with the knees. I've got a block here, it could be a rolled up blanket or a cushion or a pillow, and that's going to take my pressure off my knees quite a lot. And you may want to have 2 or 3, you might want to have quite a lot of height there. If the tops of the feet feel sore, you may then want to roll up the mat, or again, bring a cushion or a pillow and just pop that under the feet there. And that's going to just take any tightness or pain out of the tops of the feet. Bring my big toes together, knees wide apart, placing the hands down in front of me, palms facing down, middle fingers pointing forwards, softening the shoulders, and inner elbows are pointing in towards each other here. So just allowing the wrists, the arms to be gentle, to be soft, spreading the fingers. So we've got that contact with the earth. We're able to gently apply some pressure through the hands, through the fingertips. It's very gentle. We're just creating a little bit of space. And then gently reaching, lifting the hands off. The fingertips are now coming towards the outsides, so pointing left and right. Inner elbows pointing still in towards each other. So thinking about that rotation in the arms, inner elbows coming in towards each other, softening the shoulders, and a gentle pressure through the hands and the fingertips. So once again, it's soft, it's gentle. We're just trying to find a little bit more space and softness in the hands and the wrists. Gently releasing the hands and bringing the fingertips to point in towards each other this time. Having a softness in the elbows, always remembering not to lock the elbows, and applying a gentle pressure through the hands once again. Softness in the shoulders, gaze is just ahead. And gently releasing the hands. And then the fingertips this time are coming towards the body. This can feel quite strong. So if you're not used to practicing this, you just may want to work with the fingers here and lift, sort of have a lift through the wrists. If you do want to, you can have, it's like a wedge on the wrist, and that can take a little bit of pressure out the hands as well. So again, working with your body, bringing my hands down, my inner elbows are pointing out the way. Softening the shoulders, working with your body. So try not to force it. So in yoga, we often talk about sthira and sukha, steadiness and ease. So we want you to hold this position without it being painful, without it changing the breath. And this can be very tight if you're not used to practicing it. And gently releasing the hands. And making some finger rolls and wrist rolls. So really spreading the fingers, almost making it a dance of the hands and the wrists, maybe bringing the shoulders and the elbows into this as well. So we're simply finding a little bit of space through the hands. And we're going to come into a downward facing dog on our mats. So you may be familiar with this pose. Really thinking about spreading the hands. We want to take the legs out of this because we're working with the hands and the wrists today. So having a really strong bend in the knees so we don't have to think about the back of the legs, any tightness there. Spreading the hands And thinking about the weight distribution over the hand. So we want an internal rotation in the wrist. So all that means is we're making sure the weight distribution is even over the thumb and the little finger, so all the way through the hand. If you know you're hypermobile, so particularly bendy, you can turn the hands in a little so that the thumbs rotate in just a little, and that will just soften everything for you. Always having soft shoulders, inner elbows pointing in towards each other, and then tucking the toes coming into downward facing dog, keeping the knees bent. So gently pushing into the hands, bringing the belly towards the thighs, tucking the chin. The gaze is directly behind you, almost towards the toes. Hands are about shoulder width apart. And gently releasing down onto the knees. And taking some wrist rolls, or maybe coming into child's pose. Remembering it's your practice, taking a little bit of time for you to work through the hands and the wrists, supporting your body. We're going to come up to standing and have our feet about hip distance or a little wider apart, because we're going to be lifting the arms. So it's going to give us a really stable base. Toes are pointing forwards. Fluff from my socks still there. Just lifting the toes and spreading the toes. So finding that lovely stable base and a softness in the knees. We'll clasp the hands, reach the hands out away from us. So maybe this is enough for you. There's a softness in the elbows. If you know you want a little bit more, raising the arms up with the palms facing up towards the sky. As we lift through the hands, softening the shoulders, making sure the space around it. Remembering to breathe. And releasing the hands and bringing the hands back down to the sides of the body. We'll do the same thing again. We're going to try and change the grasp. This always confuses me. So as I naturally grasp my hand, I'm going to slot my fingers down one. Just changing that grasp there. Reaching away from you. So maybe you stay here, maybe you raise the hands up a little, or maybe you raise the hands all the way up towards the sky. And the next exhalation, gently releasing the hands and allowing them to come back down to the sides of the body. We're going to do a simple exercise I actually learned in a Pilates class a long time ago. We're going to bring our hands flat to a wall, to a surface, and then gently turn away from them. So you may need to move at this point and find somewhere to place your hands. It could be on the door, if got the door nearby that's closed. So I'm placing my left hand flat on the wall, middle fingers pointing forwards, and my inner elbow is pointing away from me. So it's pointing that same direction that my body is facing. My body, I'm standing an arm width or arm distance away. So the arm can be straight. And again, maybe this is enough for your hands and wrists. Maybe this is enough for you. If you'd like a little bit more of a stretch through the arm and across the top of the shoulder, I'm then turning away from the wall. So you may find this is too strong for the shoulder and around the pectoral muscle. If it is, know that you can come back to facing the other way. Encouraging the arm to be straight. And then gently releasing that left arm. This time bring the right hand to the arm, so the wall, so exactly the same thing on the other side. So placing the hand flat on the wall. Inner elbow is pointing in the same direction as my body. And then I'm just reshuffling here because I want to make sure I've got a lovely long stance in mountain or version of mountain pose. The hand is about shoulder height and I'm away from the wall, the length of the arm. So the arm can be straight. So once again, notice how this feels. Maybe this is enough for your body today. If you know you want a little more, turning the body away from the arm. remembering to breathe, especially this tightness, directing the breath to the areas of tension. And gently releasing that side as well. Giving the wrists a final roll, the fingers a final dance. Maybe even taking it a little wider. Bringing some rotations, some spirals into the arms. And gently bringing the hands back down to the sides of the body. Thank you for joining me for that hand and wrist yoga session. I hope they feel loved and taken care of today. And remembering to always spend a little bit of time on our hands as they do so much for us. I'm going to take my hands up to my forehead to remind us to have kind thoughts, to my lips to remind us to have kind words, and back down to my heart center to remind us to have kind actions. Om Shanti.